Hello, everyone. Joseph Ramirez here. Um, we just finished up essentially the November December league. I had recorded a couple games. I think I put one up already prior. Then there was this one, and then of course with the actual meeting, we had another one that we decided. So I decided to finally put this up. Um, it was basically my first. Let me turn this off. Um, and essentially, Shoot Slam was my opponent. He played the Buffalo Bills. We ended up updating his deck list just a little bit because it was a little bit dated. I think he ran it for um, the prior league that before the rules changes and things like that. So I ended up kind of helping him get with that piece. But I just wanted to showcase this. I wanted to put them. I wanted to wait till it was over and put them all up. I did miss a recording um, in one of the games that was an absolute just barn burner, great game with Melon as far as the league play goes. As week two, this was week one, and then week two. Just got in a game with Melon and on the Discord, and of course, it was a very, very tight game, very, very fun. Came down to the wire. I really wish we would have recorded. We talked afterwards, like, man, we should have just recorded this game and completely forgot about it. As you can see in this particular matchup, I'm running basically Pro Bowl squad Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry. So I've got just a fun little idea going on. Lamar Jackson. If I do a pass play and it's stopped, it becomes run middle. And I've got Derrick Henry gain additional 15 yards on a run and discard an action card, and that will essentially get you first down plus 15 more. Deebo Samuel, my touchdown score an extra 1 point. So I get 8 instead of 7. And then, of course, on a short pass on 5 through 9, you actually get a double the yardage. So on a short pass, it's not bad. John Elway is throwing it in there for just kind of mess around with it. It says on a run, your next successful pass play. If you run, it's like 25 yards. Your next successful pass play is unstoppable. Blah blah blah. And then Chad Johnson, really really good name. Start a drive, name a card. Your opponent reveals their hand. You get to see, what actions they have. You get to see their plays that they have. So he's really really strong. And then he just says, if you name the correct card, they have to discard them all. So all copies of that card. So it's really, really strong in that particular thing. This particular deck offensively was just testing things out. Defensively, this is probably the starting and making of like the best defense in the game. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go over some information as far as deck tech and just throw it all out there. I've waited long enough, and there's really not any announcement for any big tournaments or any of that kind of stuff. Doesn't seem like there's going anywhere as first traction. So, I mean, it's really not going to change, from here and now or, by Gen Con if they do anything there as far as like NFL 5 and Panini. So, we'll just see. We'll see. We're going to continue to play the game, have some fun with it. Hopefully we can get some things going on Tabletop Simulator, more like this league game, where we can get some more, I mean, we're obviously playing for promos, which is really, really awesome. I think there's some ideas going around what we should do with the promos so people actually, play the game to get promos or things like that. So instead of just kind of showing up, waiting and send my promos, here I am. I'm in the meetings, meetups for, 5-10 minutes or however long it is, and then, dip out and get my promos. So, but I did want to bring to attention as far as the way this particular, not really so much this particular game, but really shedding light on some of the busted stuff that you see in 2022. And then I'll, like I said, make another video as far as going over that information. Obviously, if you can see on the bench right now, we have Deion Sanders, who definitely was meta warping, backbreaking for deck building, and you have to be aware of this guy. They did errata him as far as it only being exhaust effects and not run, tackle, or receive effects type things. It's just exhaust effects that he would stop. And so it did help a lot in that particular regard that he's not, super, super terrible. And this is, I'm kind of going over this because this is where we, tell him he's got to update the deck. There's several unique, we did discuss that, that all passes is a unique card. So take them out, put something else in, supplement that, take out, if he has not this Sunday and Miraculous Play, they can't both be in there. So just trying to help him update the deck. Shout out to Shoot Slam. Hopefully he's doing well. I know he's had a lot of outside personal issues. So hopefully, get better, buddy. Come out and play. It was good games. Back to the issue at hand, the defense, right? So we got Jeremy Chin as well, who basically says if you play run middle, you stop all runs, which is if you're running a run strategy and he's vertical, it definitely does hurt. Now, here's the thing. He definitely can be played around, or you can just start running like exhaust effects, 2019 Russell Wilson, or just the basic action exhaust that you're taking up a slot for your thing, for your piece, and say, okay, well, I got to commit this guy if I'm going to, run out, or you could run fatigue, which exhausts all your guys and their guys. So, there's that trade-off. So definitely looking at Jeremy Chin. I think honestly, just based off this, like watching this particular video, and then getting forward to when I start talking about these particular cards and things and ideas that are coming out that I've been playing around with, is that we just need to put them on the synergy list, on the active list of, they can only be played, they're tied to the team synergy, and that'll help make the teams themselves better, and of course not break things with the playing quote unquote rainbow decks, right? So when you look at it, Jeremy Chin being a Carolina Panther, that's fine, put him in the Panther slot. The next guy I'm going to talk about is TJ Watt. So TJ Watt, not a huge problem when it comes to his non-superstar ability. His superstar, when he comes into play as a superstar, literally says, if your offensive player does not gain additional yards, you then have no effect. He blanks them, right? And so in this particular case, another big problem when it comes to deck building, just like Deion Sanders. So when you look at Deion Sanders, you had to really warp your whole game plan, your whole strategy on building against that one particular guy. And now when we look at TJ Watt, it's even bigger, I feel, even worse, because you take a look at there's two different strategies that I'm running TJ Watt in. Now, if we put TJ Watt into the Steelers only synergy, that's going to help the Steelers themselves, be a top contender. But then it helps so that the rainbow strategy isn't like, okay, we're going to put this guy on there and say it is what it is, right? Because he's just so oppressive. He takes away 80% or more of your particular game plan and particular cards of the set to be like, this is what it is. And if you look at it, some of the best strategies that he has is Pro Bowl Squad, Mythology, of course, and then just any other synergy, really. But if you look at those two being the strongest synergies right now, in my opinion, in the game, Pro Bowl Squad, obviously, because I can search TJ Watt and just throw him into play. You can't counter that. So not on this field can't stop Pro Bowl Squad from actually putting him in. So it actually really definitely hinders. And of course, when you talk about Mythology, they have to actually get TJ Watt and play him. So they have to play things like, Training Recall and things like that to actually get there. And then you can also not on this field the TJ Watt. So then they have to wait a whole cycle or find a way to reshuffle the deck and then, put him back into play. And that's kind of like the whole strategy behind it. But if you take a look at, Pro Bowl Squad, right? If you see in here, I actually drew him. And so when you take a look at, I drew the TJ Watt, it was like, oh man, well, that's kind of, you know, that kind of sucks, right? Because then it can get countered. But when you look at like first turn one, I'm playing defense and I go TJ Watt, and if you have anything that's not something that's going to be uh stopping, or gaining more yards, you're just blank. And so um it's definitely rough. It's like, okay, well, I've actually gone and play testing, like building decks and just building them to build them. Like, this is a great strategy. This is a great strategy. And then, like, the minute you sit down and then TJ Watt hits the table and you're like, okay, my strategy's done. Like, if you look at the team that I'm running right now, the only person technically not affected by this strategy is, of course, Derrick Henry. Um, Now there's questions on Deebo Samuel being affected because he gains double yards and not additional yards. So right now, I don't assume that he actually will help or like not get turned off by TJ Watt being in play. So when you look at that, I have to build my whole strategy around either gaining additional yards or my players don't do anything, right? They're just blank. So you can't say that it's not oppressive to like have to play around that or build around that, especially when it's super super strong like that. But anyways, and then you also see I've got Aaron Donald and superstar Aaron Donald. I don't think that that's a problem. It just, discard two cards at random. I've had some ideas. I was also running another deck where I ran Harrison Smith of 2022 from the Vikings says, tackle um, your next tackle gets the effect twice, so you can essentially go Aaron Donald and discard four random cards, leaves them with like no actions in play, which can be pretty good. But you can play around it. He can be out of positioned and things like that nature. So it is what it is. However, then of course we got Campbell. Obviously, just some old school, draw some cards, and just kind of filter and cycle. So, just an idea, of course, bring in like again from 2021 into 2022, and just kind of bring in some stuff in to try it out and see how things go. As you can see, on second down, I've already gotten up to the 35 off the first play with double the yardage with Deebo. Um, Currently have out of position both superstar on defense and speed kills. Of course, we got another short pass here. He's not going to defend against short pass, so it's going to be successful. Now, the idea behind this deck was I run short passes. If I get them, I get Deebo. If I don't, they stop. It goes middle run. Then I run. I go and run middle. This strategy is hard countered, obviously, by Jeremy Chinn. When you look at it, you could run the 2022 card that says it stops run middle and short pass, which is probably one of the best plays in the game currently. It's not unique, but it stops both run middle and short pass. But when you pair that with Jeremy Chinn, you're talking about I stop all runs and short pass. So then at this point, like only medium pass and long pass are safe. And so it's definitely a super oppressive strategy. When you look at adding those two with TJ Watt, you turn off all anything that's going to give you outs to Jeremy Chinn, and then Jeremy Chinn just like, here's my stuff, come at me. And it's very easy to offset and then miss a medium pass or definitely a long pass without any type of effects. So you could build a strategy around that as well. And I'll get to that as far as like, the next video or something like that. But um, as you can see, I got another short pass, put it into the 15, third down. At this point, like, obviously playing a rainbow deck versus solid Bills. This solid Bills team was really, really solid. My son played it in the previous league. And, when we were playing around, like, the defense isn't the greatest. It does have some stops to this particular, like Lamar, as far as like going run middle. However, the offense is super, super solid. You look at, superstar Josh Allen, as well as, its lineup. It's very, very strong. It's like it's not very defensive, strategy heavy. Like it's not going to get you there on defense, but offense is super, super strong, and they can score on you with one play. With Josh Allen, superstar, being able to go, my short medium passes are unstoppable, and then just go to town, do a lot of pumps, get massive yards on a medium pass. So it's definitely something that is still a really strong deck as far as that goes. So when you take a look at it, I mean, it's not terrible. But the minute that like TJ Watt gets put on the table, superstar Josh Allen doesn't do anything. Regular Josh Allen doesn't do anything. There's a lot of guys on his particular team that get blanked. So you're just like, oh, okay, well, my strat is pretty much gone. And so, you know, is what it is. Again, that's why I said it's kind of oppressive in that particular state. Um, but we'll get into that. We'll go back. I guess we're having a discussion as far as the prevent defense. Prevent defense only allows to go 20 or more. If you go more than 20 yards, you only gain 20 instead. So it's active. I'm only on the 15, but I will score here. And so we'll tick down to 9. I'll go up to 8 because of Debo. Looks like I missed that. Because of Debo, I should go up to 8 instead of 7. I believe in this game I finished 16-14 because of Debo. And then, it's a pretty cool strategy. And Debo Samuels is nice in that regard, where you can be like, yeah, it's great to get that extra 1 point. But then when you see, again, TJ Watt turning that off, you're like, it's back to normal. It's basic game plan. So definitely funny, and still also very oppressive. So, and when we look at this, I know like we talked, or I talked about at least, how good Deion Sanders is, and how it just kind of warps everything. And then you look at it and like, really, when you look at Deion Sanders, he does nothing without TJ Watt, right? Or, when TJ Watt's on the table, Deion Sanders doesn't do anything because he can only stop exhaust effects. And when you look at TJ Watt, well, he stops everything that's, just not gaining yards. So unless they're playing things like 2019 Patrick Mahomes, 2019 Matthew Stafford, that says exhaust, gain extra 10 on a pass from a tight end or running back or wide receiver, whatever. Those particular guys could still use exhaust effects, and if you have both of them on the table, you could just choose that guy, and then TJ Watt turns off everything else, and here we go. Like, you just can't use your guy. So those two in conjunction is like, all right, you're completely done. You're not going to do anything with this guy, and it's definitely tough. This year it looks like even with these just few, with it being rainbow, these few guys um can really make you warp your game plan strategy on offense. If you have to play around TJ Watt and Jeremy Chin, if you put those two together and you go superstar TJ Watt and Jeremy Chin, that means I am not running the ball. Like, I cannot run the ball. If they make their play deck correctly, we're never really going to run the ball. It's going to be very, very hard to get in there. And unless we're running a strategy where it's just gain effects, then that's it, right? So very, very impressive there. And then of course there are several other cards that we can talk about later on in the other video. That's going to be like, these cards need to be put on the not active list, or whatever they're calling it, inactive list, just so that they're essentially not not so oppressive for deck building purposes. Put them on, like, you put them on their teams, and I'm perfectly okay if you want to run the Panthers and Jeremy Chin. I'm perfectly okay if you want to run TJ Watt. and the Steelers, because they have a specific strategy to themselves. You got to run that. You can't like splice it in together, and the two of them together is what makes it, the combination of them both making it super super oppressive. And then when you look at it, like um it just, yeah, there's just a lot to it, right? And so I'm just marking here that I actually chose Deion Sanders with Josh Allen, or chose Josh Allen with Deion Sanders. So if he's going to use that to discard a card, I end up getting it, but he can't because TJ Watt's on the table. But it is what it is. Nothing prior, so we're going to go into picking a play. And I know that without Josh Allen, he can't do much of anything, and a good majority of his particular deck is short pass. But I know, we fixed it, modified it a little bit to give him a little bit of variety, not just straight short passes like the original build that my son played. However, if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. It's just how we play the game, right? So you build your stuff and kind of go that route and see what we got, see what we can do. Um, in this particular case, yeah, we've got looks like we've got it here. Checking the Bill synergy, which is really good. If the score's within 7 points, they gain additional 10 yards, and the opponent loses or gains 10 fewer yards. So pretty strong strategies on both ends. Now, Cole Beasley is going to have additional 20 yards on the field, so he won't get stopped by TJ Watt. And then, of course, there's, there are some, I think Stefon Diggs that he has also is if they don't have more than like two DBs, then they can't. Then he gains an additional 20 yards as well. So if you want to go with the gain additional yard strat, you could definitely get rid of, TJ Watt's ability. But in that case, like if you do so, like for, it looks like I got rid of a training recall and a first down. I got rid of both those by tackling with Donald. A big game. I don't know if I don't know. Oh, I guess I went medium pass, he went short pass. And then he got 20, 40, 50. Yeah, he got 50 yards off of a short pass. I went medium pass. I forget the deck is short and medium passes, so it's definitely hard to predict. Great thing, look, I drew this card here, so I'm showing out of position speed kills, not this Sunday, and of course untouchable. Um, Obviously, don't create a problem if you don't have an answer. And when you look at TJ Watt, untouchable is the answer to TJ Watt. You can play it. Obviously, it's a power up, so then they can run power up hate. Also, you could run circuit breaker, which shout out to Brian. He loved circuit breaker, ran one in every deck, even though sometimes it would just sit there because if you don't have a power up, you can't play it. So, and it doesn't draw you a card. It's just remove a power up. There are definitely better things out there. Of course, looking at Fred Warner on defense, you could do that to get rid of it, because you really need untouchable on offense. If they're playing TJ Watt, you could put it on your quarterback or your main character, your main player that you would want to have an active ability that's not normally what your strategy would be going into this. Looks like he did medium pass, and I didn't check. I think I went short pass and run middle. Anyways, when you take a look at it, if you run a strategy with four run or receive abilities that gain extra yards. You get those effects off of TJ, and then you can run your quarterback and play untouchable on it. Like essentially, um, one of my other strategies that I ended up playing just the other night was having Josh Allen, where all my short and medium passes are unstoppable, and then you play untouchable on Josh Allen. It turns off TJ Watt, and now at that point, like I can continue to play the game like normal, still gain my yards, still do everything I need to. You see on this play, I drew clean slate. Obviously, the deck runs two clean slates because if you run the running right into um, preseason game, which preseason game says that all of your superstar cards are blank, which is another strong strategy. But again, you run two clean slates. You run something like a I can't remember the name of the stupid card, but the one that lets you return an action back from your discard pile back to your hand. So I'd probably run like two clean slates in one of those. And then the Basic Instinct is what it's called, yeah, with Russell Wilson. So you play Basic Instinct plus two of these, and then you're like, okay, whenever you play a preseason game, I'm going to counter it. Which is really sad because you take a look at preseason game gets played at the start of possession, and then right after that in the prior to selecting play phase, you can just clean slate it off, and then you're done. So again, it's one of those things like do you have it or you don't have it, and how long does it take for you to get it? And so again, another short pass. I played medium pass, so he's going to get there. But when you look at it, yeah, definitely, a back and forth, but do you really want that? I know that, in certain, back in 2020, I played, Ndamukong Suh, and when I played, you're going to outposition, Beasley so that you don't get 20 more yards. Put him at the 5 here and see if he could go for it on 4th down. So, when we talk about like 2020 meta and the time frame of that, like when I played Ndamukong Suh, it was like I could literally make a safety off Ndamukong Suh off of three plays, 4 plays, and at that point, like, what are you gonna do, right? It was somewhat people saw it as like oppressive, drawing the outperform here. So I got sharpen, focus, and outperform here for next drive. But when you take a look at that, right, and you're like, I just don't like it because it's so oppressive, and I can't do anything, or I have to play that. Like I have to play that. I had built 2 different versions of the Ndamukong Suh deck as you've seen, videos on and gameplay of, and I also had a lot of the counters to counter the Suh, right, and there was like all these different things that stop Suh, and honestly, I think that when we look at 2021 format, like it was super hated on Suh with like, 0 flags as a card. And so you had 0 flags, so you can't, replay the down. The rules even got changed, so you can only have 1 replay down effect in a possession. And so there was that. And there was just a lot of those things. Then they changed that you can't score on a replay down effect or any type of effect that's not like a gain or solid loss of yards. So look at it like, okay, well, in those particular scenarios, now you're talking about, I have to play these things. And so kind of just, put that completely archetype or meta into the ground. But when you look at like now, you're looking at a lot of the same things happening with, TJ Watt. And so it'll be interesting to see if those guys get put on the list and say, all right, we're solid. Looks like he's sideline supporting here, getting his card and going for it on 4th down. Kudos to Shoot Slam on this. That obviously, right there, kick the easy points, get the field goal, go up, 7-3. The analytics obviously told him differently, so let's go for the score. You know, you've got a really the deck itself has like a 50-50 chance. If you're talking about, it could be a short pass, it could be a medium pass, and you know, I got to guess right. And if you look at my hand, I don't have any. I'm checking again here, and I don't have I don't have any um you know, passes here, so I just have to kind of like pick the best one as far as it goes. And if it's a short pass, obviously, like he uh on a short pass, he gets in, and it's automatic. So that's a good thing about the game. The play deck itself is such a crucial down. Are you gonna, you know, you really need to make it balance all around so that you have those particular things you know, set up. And if that's the case, either you do or you don't, and you still have to draw them. And that's what makes the game, you know, fun when you take a look at, like, you can make the best players on the team, right? And this is obviously, this is not like the best, most optimized, you know, piece for it. It looks like he's going for a middle pass, and I'm trying to outperform it out of the range because it looks like it's a 9. And we're trying to say, yep. Looks like we stopped him at the 5. So stopped him at the 5. Up 7-0. 3 timeouts at the 5 with, so basically with 1 tick left before half. We're saying that we can take the ball, drive it down the field, try to go up 14 and really turn off the Bills' synergy and, you know, go that route. So I'm just debating on like bringing Elway in, and yep, there it is. Take Elway out, bring Chad Ochocinco in. You get to name an action at the start of drive. If he has anything that's going to hinder us, like, you know, obviously not this Sunday, or false starts, things like that. Those things that you would, you know, affect your 3 timeouts here, which is very, very crucial. Um, that's a good question now that I just thought about it. I wonder. So I here, I mean, obviously 95 yards is a long way to go, but with speed, kill, sharp, and focus, we also got Debo Samuel. We're gonna do some, you know, double and tripling yardage. So prior to selecting play, I do the sideline adjustment. We can out of position to kind of, you know, reserve. We also got clean slate. We're gonna take clean slate here. So we need to draw another card. Real thing to note, like when you do these things, obviously clean slate is prior to selecting play. And since I let sideline support resolve, there was no other things on the chain. You actually resolve everything and then you move out of that particular phase. So you can't play clean slate after drawing it in that same window. There's a lot of new players that get that confused right away. The chain does stack. It goes, you know, first in, last out, and reverse order. And so when that happens, if you let it resolve, like you go back and forth and back and forth, I play, you play, I play, you play, and then when we're both passed, we let those resolve. After they're resolved, they resolve in order. Once you get to the bottom of that particular chain or whatever, then you would actually move um right into the next series. So you would move from, prior to selecting play into, actually picking the play and doing on field adjustments from that point. So one thing to note. Looks like we flipped over the exact same play here. And looks like I failed. Exact same play, said, all right, call it. Nothing we can do there, can't stop it, get stuffed. He takes the ball over in the second half. We go 15, he gets to go again. Bring out my defense at this point. I know that Jeremy Chin in this particular matchup is not going to do anything because he doesn't run the ball. If he, well, look, we're going to switch it out again. I guess it's like, nope, we don't need Campbell. We don't need Calais Campbell. We just need to put Jeremy Chin. Thought about it again, said, wait a minute. We need that protection on all runs just in case the run does pop up. We don't want to be surprised. So I think at this point I probably should have just, like, this is of course learning initially, like playing around with the deck and learning, what's good and what's not. And knowing right now after playtesting quite a bit from this particular game initially, because this game happened, and I want to say November 9th. This game was from November 9th. So we're talking well over a month and 10 days later or so. And so knowing the strat and stuff now, like I would have easily taken out Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders definitely not needed because you've got TJ Watt. And he's just blank. So then you can Calais and start getting some yard or more cards in your hand and things like that. So yeah, definitely pretty cool. He is going to start off with a speed kills. No response, goes back 10 to the 15, and with a loaded grip of mainly offensive strategies here, gonna try and play it out. Medium pass, short pass, playing the exact same card yet again. So awesome means that he gets it. So it looks like he's getting the 20 yards plus the speed kills to double it, make it 40, and then he can Beasley or um, Diggs. Either way, would get 20 more yards. So 40, 60, 60 plus his synergy card. Looking at 70, he goes 70 yards on this play, which is, like I said before, it's very explosive. The Bills team is still very, very strong. And see, I think that, like, if we say maybe Josh Allen is another one that you should probably put on, like, can only play on the Bills team. He can't be part of a rainbow strat because if you look at it, like TJ Watt definitely counters the superstar um, Josh Allen. But when you look at it right now, like Shoop Slam's doing a great job of playing the um, playing the actual game itself. Um, being able to, pick the right plays and things like that. So yeah, obviously, looks like we've got since we just started this. Here's what I'm gonna do. I've got to looks like I'm gonna run and get another game in. Maybe I can hopefully record that too. And so I'm gonna take this first half and make a pause here, and then record the rest of the part of this particular game. So bear with us. And we'll go stop share real quick.